Trek Geeks Podcast Network is proud to have Fansets as its presenting sponsor. Fansets is the place for amazing pin collectibles with over 300 officially licensed Star Trek pins and new releases every month. Stay tuned for a special discount code good on your next order at fansets.com just for Discovering Trek listeners. Fansets. Our pins have character.
Hey everybody, this is Discovering Trek Enterprise, and welcome to the First Frontier. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sara.
And we're going to be talking about this series.
Oh my God. We are about to chat about Enterprise Episode 1, Broken Bow. If you haven't watched it, I mean, how long's it been, Kasey?
It's been 20 years. You've had your chance. Really?
Figure it out.
You haven't seen it by now? Ugh.
Yeah.
But
Go
hey,
hit up CBSAA. You can watch it and then come back. I mean, you can pause us. You don't have to listen right now if you're really like super keen.
If they're considered spoilers after 20 years,
something's wrong.
I've got some really sad news for Gone with the Wind fans. It's going to be bad. So there's your non-spoiler warning, spoiler thingamajiggy.
Yep.
Go watch it.
Yep.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah,
right
please.
On.
So this is the introductory episode for Discovering Trek Enterprise, and it's Kasey and me winging it. We're just going to have probably a couple of raw first few episodes as we get a groove. So we hope to get feedback from you guys about what you like and what you don't like and what you want to hear more of. But we thought we'd do some high level thoughts about the episode, kind of follow along as things change and characters grow, maybe have some fun in there, give a little synopsis. I think we're ready for it. Kasey, what about you?
I think so. I mean, I've actually watched the episode twice, so that's good. It's a little... It's interesting revisiting something from so long ago and wondering what the preconceived notions in my head were and are for this series. But hey, we're going to go for it.
What were you hoping for?
Oh, wow. I was really hoping that what we would get in this series was, a really strong story thread about the founding of the Federation, the relationships Earth had with other worlds, and how things progressed from first contact with Zefram Cochrane. And, going into the rich history of aliens that we already knew about, but didn't know a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I think it's a lot of the same. I was really hoping for a lot of first contacts for species that we have known and loved from TNG and Deep Space Nine, and maybe seeing them in completely different lights from what they were, because the time that could have changed would have been time for revolutions to happen with some of these people or some of these species. I was looking for, or hoping for, a little bit of that TNG cheesiness, but a little bit of that TOS humor that I'm aware of, that I've seen. But I had big hopes when I was back in 2001.
Well, you tell me about 2001. Who was Sara in 2001?
Who was Sara in 2001? September 26th. That's when this episode came. This is when it all started. I was 21 years young, living in my dad's basement and studying criminal justice theory in college. I was swing dancing, ballroom dancing and working at a grocery store, and I was single. I still hadn't even had a boyfriend yet. It was pretty good time to be alive. Why don't you tell me what you were up to in 2001? Who were you?
Oh my God. Let's see, 2001, 32 years old, couple years into a relationship with my would-be wife. Had taken kind of a semi-break of watching Trek after DS9, kind of watched Voyager, had a lot of other stuff going on, but then was intrigued when this prequel idea came out. Was really hoping that we'd get some cool stories. I really wondered how this would be different from 1990s Trek, how you're, with TNG and Deep Space Nine and then Voyager. I was really I don't know if concern's the right word, but was adamant that they have a different tone for this new series, because otherwise it just felt like one big thing that just melted all together. You know? So I did begrudgingly watch all 4 seasons. Man, I really liked the 4th season a lot, and I wish that was the road they had gone down.
Right. That's what I've been told by a lot of people that I've talked to that have watched the show. They said, you know how a lot of TV shows, it takes 1 or 2 seasons to kind of iron out the kinks and then it gets good. That took 4 seasons for them. Like it was the last season that became when people were really starting to get caught into it, and then it was ripped from them. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, in the 4th season, they brought in, some actual Trek authors and other people who were very passionate, like about TOS, and you could, boy, the change was amazing. But hey, we'll get there.
We will get there. Well, I remember being so excited for it because I kind of grew out of Trek a little bit in my late teens, as you usually do when you're kind of focused on what am I going to do with my life. And so when this came on, it was like that right time to be kind of wanting to get back into it, and was, rewatching some of the older things that I hadn't watched much of Voyager either. So I was kind of getting into that. And then I had people over to watch the pilot on that big night. Naomi, Aaron, and Jeff. I met them through swing dancing. Never stayed in touch. If you're randomly listening, hi guys.
Jeff owes me $20.
Hey, there you go. I want it. Pay it and the interest. I remember being so excited. And then the second that I heard the theme song, I was so disappointed. We all looked at each other with a face, and I was like, what is this? What is this? This is horrible. But of course, I've come to love the song. But that's only because after a few adult beverages in Vegas, when we're at karaoke, someone always sings it, and it becomes a whole thing, right? But I only watched season 1. I was not able to watch anymore. But then when I started going to STLV, and I got to have like a few chats with Connor Trenier and Dominic Keating, who were super nice and really funny. And I kind of came to love them, and seeing some of the other people that I was like, I got to give the show another chance. And so I've tried a couple of times to get back into it, but I just can't get past season 1. So this is it. I have to do it now. I'm forced. That's why I forced myself to do this GD podcast, is I'm going to watch it.
Hey, well, good for you. I mean, like you said, there's some great actors in this, and I'm hoping that this series, I don't know, gets a new lease on life. That people look at it again different, and hey, it may stand up on its own 2 feet quite well, or it just may stumble.
This is the year for it to happen for them, and I'm hoping that I come out of this being like, all right, like I'm a fan. I found my episodes that I like throughout the 4 seasons. I'll watch these ones again, and maybe I have to get a pin or 2. So we'll see.
Or 10 or 12. Yeah.
Try to find all the action figures in the stores.
That would be sweet.
Maybe it'll make me watch Quantum Leap. I don't know.
I loved Quantum Leap. I loved Scott Bakula in that show.
Yeah.
And him in that show versus him in this show. Wow.
Big difference.
So different.
Okay.
So different.
All right. I'll keep that in mind.
There you go.
I like it.
Hey, you know what? I have a little surprise for you.
What's that? Scott Bakula's here?
I've had him in my basement for the last 7 years. Here he is, bearded up. No. I am going to do a little recap for you of part 1 of, is it Broken Bow or Broken Bow?
Broken Bow.
Okay.
I asked Bill, and he said
bow.
Bow. I believe he said
as
bow.
In bow tie. All right. Well, either way, we're either right or we're wrong.
Or like an arrow bow. An arrow.
There you go. Bow and arrow. I like it. So I'm going to Dr. Seuss you a little here. All right. Here we go.
Oof, you're setting up big pressure for when I have to do a synopsis. Great.
I know. Here we are on episode 1. Our journey into space has really begun. We have a crew. They're all very new. And later on, we find out their underwear is blue. We get Klingons and Korn and the Suliban too. A whole bunch of plot lines we gotta get through. Adventure awaits, and off we fly. We meet Future Guy and wonder why? We're off on a trip with a dude named Tucker. So here we go, you awesome mother truckers. That's it.
Ooh, that was great. I like it. Pressure is on. I'm going to have to do a rhyming scheme now in the near future.
It's very helpful having a 2.5-year-old granddaughter to be able to do Dr. Seuss. It's like, oh, yeah, I know what can happen here.
This will be a great way to force this child into liking the show.
I won't do that to her.
Oh, somebody has to. That's what your job is.
All right. I'll do it.
I like it. What do you want to talk right now about what we thought of the episode? Like, do you want to go over a couple of high level thoughts? What do you want to do? How do you want this to happen?
Well, I was thinking maybe here we could give our rankings for the episode and then dive into those thoughts.
Sure.
Okay.
What's your ranking system?
The ranking system that I thought we could do, which would be pretty good, would be slices of pie. Oh. It can be pecan pie. It can be Dutch apple pie. It can be, Marionberry pie. Whatever you want. But I think pie is very appropriate for the show. So out of 6 slices of a pie, because that's the most amount of slices you could ever truly get out of a full-size pie. Hey, any more than that and you're just skimping. I give part 1 of the pilot 3 out of 6 slices. It was okay. But boy, a lot of the characters are just angry all the time.
Is there a backstory for the pie?
I'm purposely not saying something here for you so that it can come up and you find out for yourself.
I can't wait for a pie fight with the Vulcans versus the humans. It's going to be great.
Damn it.
So that's my expectation. That's going to happen. All right. I gave it 2 slices of pie. I found everything flat. I was not pulled into the story. And when I tried to rewatch it this morning, I was mad about it. I was just, I wanted to come into this first episode with all these great, I spotted this Easter egg and I spotted this. And I was like, no, I couldn't. It didn't capture me. Not a single character captured me except for Dr. Phlox's smile.
Okay. Well, there you go. You're as mad as the characters.
Yes, that was me. The stern Vulcan face.
Hola, mola, mole, mole.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey. So neither of us totally dug it, which I find that's a bit foreboding for a pilot episode.
Mm-hmm. First half.
That's true. First half of a pilot episode. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe the a la mode comes into play on the second half of the pilot episode. Ooh, extra sharp cheddar on Dutch apple pie. And what you do is you put it in under a broiler. Don't microwave it.
Oh.
But under a broiler. Mm-hmm. So it melts perfectly over and then you get a little crisp skin on the top. Okay. Oh, too much food.
Yum.
I'm starving. I know. Oh man. So then with your ranking there, what's your thoughts that you have so far the episode?
One of my early red flags was when Archer says to T'Pol, "You have no idea how much I'm restraining myself from knocking you on your ass."
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Did he really say that to her? I just thought that was a bad start to an introduction to a character personally, especially when you're coming from a world of Janeway and Picard and, Sisko. I don't think they would ever say that to another woman or person in such an early context, but that's just my opinion.
No, I hear you on that because it seems awfully odd that, you would think you'd want your commanding officer to have an even keel.
Yes.
A different mood. Mm-hmm. And this is what I was talking with you earlier about. Everyone seems so angry.
Yeah.
And I get it as a plot device for, this is how we're going to, the captain's going to evolve and change and such. But I don't want to go anywhere where the leader just seems ticked off all the time, distrustful. And like you said, that's a pretty rude, awful statement right off it's like when Archer just barges in to the medical area where they're working on the Klingon. It's like, is this not supposed to be like a clean, sterile room?
I know.
And he just goes in. It's like, dude, you just walked in. You could have had gum on your shoe or other stuff. You know, if it's Starfleet, San Francisco, there's seagulls. That's what it is. You could have anything. And he just goes in there. And I looked at that. I go, this guy is
human.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Ugh.
And that's why I think I didn't like it, is because I'm so used to Star Trek having people that are over that egotistical, misogynistic, all the flaws that we have as people now, that they've evolved. And so the show is centered around the fact that, sure, we've cleaned up some war and famine, but there's that inner work that has to be done. So I think that they are trying to make a point. It's just off-putting because it's like, I could watch any drama on TV and see a bunch of people being jerks. I don't need to see theirs, but
that's where I found it really interesting with the, this is 100 years earlier type of a thing. They're kind of more of who we are right now as humans. But I mean, gosh, even the scene where they're Trip and T'Pol and the captain are having dinner.
Oh.
And do you see the size of those slabs of beef? It's like Brontosaurus Flintstones steaks that come out. I looked at that and go, the plumbing system on that starship is going to be put to the test. And hey, you know what? Everybody's constipated. That's what it is, Sarah.
Yeah.
They're all constipated. That's why they're so angry, because they eat 16 pounds of beef for dinner.
I know. Oh. It was so that was my first high level thought, was just I don't like this guy. I don't like Archer. And then I didn't like T'Pol. I know some stuff happens in the second half, and so I'm trying to separate out the first half and the second half, but I didn't like the haircut. I mean, and that's just a personal thing. I just didn't like.
Is that a wig?
It's got to be a wig.
It's awful, right?
It's awful. And the outfit is like is this 7 of 9 you're trying to do? Like, do we have to put her in a bodysuit? She's a beautiful woman, and they just made her have stink face the whole time. And I get that Vulcans are, more serious. I get that, but she irked me. And I hope I develop a love for her character at some point, or it evolves. I don't know.
That all makes sense. Even the other two Vulcans that they show, they're angry too. It's like, if you've been working together for 100 years or so, it was supposedly, why is everyone it's just so angry with each other?
You didn't have to help us. You could have just said hi, first contact, and then go away.
Leave. Go.
You don't like us.
You guys are Cro-Mags. You're not ready.
Yeah.
We'll come back in like 50 years.
Yeah.
And see where you are. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
And the CGI.
Woof. Oh, my God.
This was around the era of Jar Jar Binks and stuff, right? This was the era for that kind of technology. So sealing the Suliban and even just like the shots of like going to when they went to meet up with Hoshi, and just like just visually unappealing for me.
Yeah. I rewatched the very opening again, where Archer's, cruising around with Tucker and looking at the ship, and it's like, oh, okay, that's early Zero's CGI. And there's a big difference, I think, like you said, visually between a 6-foot model and then a CGI thing. There's just something that the model is believable. Mm-hmm. And yeah, when you go, okay, we're just going to CGI the whole thing. It's like, well, at the time, I guess it was cutting edge, but oh, man.
Well, I also feel like for a lot of actors, that was a very difficult time, because if they've been a seasoned actor and they're used to working with visual cues like puppets or like models, and then suddenly they're thrust into a world where there's green screens and stuff, I could imagine that being very difficult. Whereas opposed to something like Discovery, where they do, like, a lot of these actors are young and maybe they've had more experience with these types of setups, that the acting is just so strong nowadays in a lot of these films, like Marvel movies or whatever, where they're in a room and they're not on this set. I think that's one of the things about the year 2000s there, is that it was a bit of a weird time for just that community of actors, I think, trying to evolve with it and change. And so sometimes things fall flat and sometimes they work. And it's, yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense.
It does, doesn't it? Thank you.
It does. I see. You're the smart one. But I remember people talking about like the Star Wars prequels, and even with fantastic actors with movie time, movie budget, that them working on almost exclusively green screen sets, how brutal it was for them. And you're nailing it. And so now you're trying to do this on a television time frame and television budget. So it's like, you might not be happy with the takes that you get, but you go, well, it's satisfactory. We got to move on.
Yeah.
We got to make the day.
Yep.
And there you go.
And also the timing of the world. I mean, they wrote and filmed all of this before 9/11. And then tragedy struck, and then these start to air, and everyone was in a different mood. It was a different time. It was trying to come out of such a horrible event, and suddenly you're supposed to get into a new TV show, or you're supposed to try and live a normal life. Like that doesn't help them either. I think a lot of things like that came up.
That's quite true, and that's where I think part of maybe some TOS TNG optimism earlier might have helped this series a lot. I mean, you don't know the circumstances that you're going to get for whenever, but
mood plays a lot.
It does.
I mean, look at Picard. Definitely. I mean, Patrick Stewart himself said, like, when I heard what kind of a mood and a tone, like, sign me up. This is a great story to tell in this time. Like, this is fitting, He didn't want to go back and do like a fun, insurrection movie with some humor and Data's dancing around. Like, this is a completely different departure for the character. And he said it made sense with the situation of the world, and it worked, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I would think that drew Bakula into being the lead for this, of like, hey, you're the first captain. You can make certain things your own. And I can see the appeal of that, and then you sign in, and but then where is this guy's charm? Bakula has a ton of charm where I get to go, I like that guy. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, let's see some more of that, and hopefully that will come in the future. We'll find out.
Shall we talk about fan sets?
I think so, because my God.
Take it away.
All right. So for everybody, literally, you can't see me. Sarah can see me. And I'm pointing over here. I've got 2 boxfuls of fan sets pins that I have to figure out how I'm going to display all these.
Oh, boy.
It's nuts. And I just got yesterday the All Good Things Delta pin. It's effing gorgeous. So they did a great job. But, everyone, as we're talking about this, we're going to take a moment here to thank our friends over at Fansets for being the exclusive sponsor on Discovering Trek. They're always working to put out the best product available and to continue to surprise us with new designs and product releases. John, Lou, and the entire company, even Joe, are amazing people. So if you want Trek pins, Scooby-Doo pins, DC pins, Batman 66 pins, Ultraman pins, Xenoscope, Lost in Space, a ton of others, go to fansets.com right now and treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yes, there are tons of pins, accessories at fansets.com. Head over there, drool over all the cool stuff they have, put a bunch of sweet pins and accessories in your cart, and then enter the special code word, Discovering Trek. In all caps, no spaces at checkout, for an amazing 10% off your entire order. And don't forget, if you're in the US and spend more than 30 buckaroos, you get free shipping.
30 buckaroos? Is that a new form of currency you have with the new administration, or what's going on?
Sure, why not?
What do I do with my American account? Oh, God. All right, Fansets. Our pins have character, and we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. Also, breaking news for Fansets. Right now, Fansets is giving listeners of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network the exclusive opportunity to help select the next pin in their Women of Trek collection.
Folks who vote will also be entered in a random drawing to win a Women of Trek Master set and a full set of the series 2 pins. So go to trekgeeks.com/vote and vote. Winner will be selected on April 1st.
So I hear that you created a little subsection of this podcast called Chef's Special of the Day. And this could be like a rotating topic of stuff. Do you want, because we've been slamming Enterprise, to use this as a chance to say a couple of things that we liked about this episode?
I think so. It's like, if I got 3 slices of pie, I'm going to enjoy those darn 3 slices. Mm-hmm. I was very glad that this whole franchise was continuing. I really thought after Voyager that it was going to be done for a while. Certain things seemed played out. So I really liked that they had decided to not stay in the same time era, go back, give it an opportunity so that we could see things with sets and designs that were retro for us, but current for them. So, things where I love that, you have to push a button for a door open. You have to do certain things. This is kind of a love-hate, the communicator design. I thought it could have been completely different because you've got so much time between now and TOS that it doesn't have to look like a direct predecessor. But I liked that they made, if you look at the communicator itself, it's really small. And then there's just extra portions on the outside for you to hold onto it. So it's not as clunky or as large looking as the TOS one. And I go, right. I mean, as things progress, stuff gets smaller. We're not wearing wrist sandals on our wrists, right? So things get smaller. I like that. I like the uniform choices there. So, we get nice little aspects of NASA. We get things where, hey, they've got pockets, there's pouches, there's zippers, there's things that can hold stuff. We get our, division colors on the shoulders. So I think there were little things like that that I really enjoyed, and saying, okay, they're going to do Klingons, like from the motion picture on, and don't explain it then and there, just how it is. So there's little things like that for me, and that it was new, and here's a possibility. We're going to see how it goes from here. Whether this series lasts a long time or it doesn't, but it was here. You get the option. We're giving you a possibility to go. How about you? What were your, I guess, standout likes?
Yeah, there was a couple of scenes and stuff that I remember really liking. That scene where T'Pol and Trip are at that planet and that kid is wheezing and he has that jacked up instant reaction about it. And then she reminds him hey, you know what? There's species that are different from us. And so I thought that was just a good way to kind of remind that humans are still very new to a lot of these different species that are out there, and they need to kind of cool their jets and not be so judgmental, because that's kind of a play out in humanity in general. So I remember that scene sticking out and being oh, I like that. I've never seen anything really like that in a long time in Trek. I kind of liked too that they touched on the different backgrounds of the characters, especially how Mayweather, he was raised sort of in space, and that was kind of a rare thing at the time. So that kind of makes a standout for his character, which I thought was kind of a cool thing to have.
Yep.
And then I liked it because it horrified me in so many ways, was what the job is that Hoshi has to do. I'm horrible with languages. I can barely speak English. And to be thinking translators and instant translators, somebody has to try and figure this out. And so just to be able to watch that and kind of, I guess, have hopes to see this kind of evolve throughout the series and become maybe technology, or, just it's that little nugget of what's that going to grow into. I thought it was a good choice for a character to be on the ship. So those were some of the things that kind of stood out in that early, meet the people, here's what we have. It wasn't a disappointing, cast of characters in any way.
No.
It was just something about I don't know, maybe I was hoping for a bit more humor or something charismatic to capture me, because that's maybe what I like about certain characters in certain TV shows, is that there's something that pulls me in, and I didn't have that with this, but I'm hoping that as it progresses, I'll start picking a bit more favorites and stuff. Yeah, those were some of my likes.
What did you think about Archer's strong arming Hoshi into the job when she's got 2 weeks before finals for her students, and he plays a lot of cards there.
He has a way with women so far. Not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
Benji.
Well, I think if I recall correctly, because 2001 was a very long time ago, when I saw it was Scott Bakula, I was really excited. And I hadn't really that much, I never watched Quantum Leap. I didn't have a lot of experience with who he was, but I knew who he was. Like I was aware of who he was, and I was like, oh, he's going to be a great captain. Not in the first half of the first episode, in my opinion. So let's hope that changes. I'd like to be a pro Archer. I love the dog. I'm here for Porthos. Give me.
Right.
Can we have that in a transporter accident where suddenly we have 40 Porthos running around? I'll take that any day. There's an episode.
That would be great. Well, maybe that comes up. I'm not going to tell you.
There's a short trek. Puppies everywhere.
Oh my God, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, versus tribbles. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Let's do it. It would be a slaughtering.
That would be a slaughtering. Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
I think it's time to enter the Enterprise Funhouse.
We need to get a good sound bite for that.
I know. I think, are there sound bites online of like kids in a bounce house that like just knock each other in the skulls accidentally?
I was thinking more of like a boing or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Totally different wavelengths there. Very
different. We're going to have to talk about this off the record.
All right, boss. So what's in your fun house?
Oh my gosh. Well, I thought this could be a place where we could do something different each time. That would just be either things that we spot that we thought were really funny, or I know Internet Movie Database always has good goofs that they caught that sometimes I don't catch, or we can do funny quizzes, or just, I don't know, something light. So for this one, I found 3 good bloopers that were courtesy of Internet Movie Database. Are you ready for them?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Number 1, Captain Archer mentions that a 7-foot Klingon would be hard to miss on Rigel 10. In Star Trek, the metric system is used. Therefore, his height would be referenced in meters and not feet. Also, Klang was only 6'5".
See, good catch. Just, hey, you got that? Just like with Trek 4 with the whales, we weren't using metrics anymore. And it's all, hey, feet. It's like, let's make a decision.
Pick one.
Yep.
Pick one and stick with it. Own it.
Own it. Here, this will early date me, but when I was in elementary school, and I think maybe the
40s?
Ford or... Yes, there, sweetheart. Back in the olden days, it was, I don't know if it was Ford, Carter administration, whoever it was, but we were supposed to, in the US, we're supposed to flip over to the metric system within 5 years. And we started learning the metric system, and then that petered out within 8 months. It was literally just gone.
Nope.
And I was like, nope, not going to happen.
See ya.
So sidetracked you there. What's next?
All right. Oh, number 2. In the opening shot of Kronos, the CG figure walking by the base of the bridge with a sword-like object in their hand can be seen to ascend 1 step before it actually reaches the area with the steps leading up to the bridge. Come on.
Maybe gravity is, a little wishy-washy on Kronos.
Someone was light on their feet that day. And lastly, about 2/3 of the way through, T'Pol can be seen staring into a blank display screen and reading off coordinates as if she saw them on the blank screen. Someone had to check those camera angles a little bit better. Come on, guys. Wake up. It's the first episode. Shake off the cobwebs. Let's go.
Man.
I love that stuff. Thanks, folks who participate in adding that to Internet Movie Database. Maybe we'll one day find something that's not there and we can send it in.
Oh, I think we should do that.
There's a goal.
That'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I likes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, does that do it for part 1?
I think it pretty much does.
All right.
I mean, we got stuff for part 2.
We sure do. All right.
And then holy moly. So
That does it for part 1 of our coverage on episode 1, Broken Bow. We will be back with our part 2 of Broken Bow, celebrating the 20th anniversary year of Enterprise. Until then, remember that you can subscribe to Discovering Trek by searching for us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or by heading to discoveringtrek.com.
Wow, that was awesome.
Right?
If you enjoy what we're doing here on Discovering Trek, and boy, we sure hope you are enjoying it. Otherwise, why are you here? And the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As a subscriber, you can get access to the unedited recordings of episodes, as well as exclusive content and great subscriber rewards, like our annual supporters pins from Fansets and our exclusive Trek Geeks Podcast Network t-shirt, among other things. We'd like to take a moment to recognize the following amazing producers of Discovering Trek. We're quite thankful for their support. Mike Bovia, Chaz Bradshaw, Ken Bird, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Craig Ewing, Al Godwin, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Tony Lambast, Lionel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Jamie Rogers, Chris Terbuzio, Ken Tripp, Christina Werther, and Jess Vachon.
If you would like to become producer of Discovering Trek or even get access to the raw audio for Discovering Trek episodes, head on over to patreon.com/trekgeeks for all the details. Until next time, two to beam out.
Peace out.
I think we have our first blooper. Did we tell people where they can reach us?
Oh, I don't know.
Discovering Trek on Twitter.
Are we giving, just Twitter stuff, not home addresses? Okay, I think we could do that. That'll be fine. Yeah, on the tweets, people. Bring us out. Come on out. Talk to us. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what stuff you find in episodes and what you agree or disagree with us.
Yeah.
Discovering Trek on the Twitters.
Funniest tweets will be mentioned.
Oh, okay. Pressure's on. So
yeah,
no boring tweets, please.
I want a belly laugh. All right. Until next time, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Ciao.
Bye.
Music for Discovering Trek is provided by 5 Year Mission. They're writing an original song for each episode of Star Trek. Hear more of their music at 5yearmission.net. Discovering Trek is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.